Hey guys, Token Dave over here, the dorky token black guy that's just trying to get by. And welcome to another edition of Helltober, my celebration of horror and Halloween for the month of October. Okay guys, I gotta confess something. Something that some of you guys might not know. But I can't stand rap and hip hop. Let me be a little more specific. I have not been able to stand rap and hip hop for the past 20 years. Wait, 21 years? I I just turned no, 21 years. After the death of Biggie Smalls and everything, the death of Tupac and Biggie really pretty much signaled the death of rap and hip hop to me because a lot of the songs started getting really terrible. I recognized most of the beats from songs from the 80s and even the early 90s. Thanks a lot, P. Did it. And yeah, I have my issues with P. Diddy, but neither here nor there. And not to mention, like, almost every beat or every song that I heard, I'm like, okay, I heard this from this movie. I heard this beat from that movie. Or I heard this from this song. I heard this from this song. It was like, yo, dude, I understand copyright things expired, but damn, think of some creative crap and everything. And this really came ahead in the early 2000s, where now Caucasian people felt more like, oh, now that we have Eminem out, we can actually now officially come out and say that we like hip hop and rap. Yay! Ugh. I don't even want to tell you what happened to me, back in those days when people, when I told people that I don't like rap and hip hop anymore, that I only liked metal, and rock at the time. Man, talk about people's heads spinning like The Exorcist. Speaking about heads spinning like The Exorcist, basically, there were some caveats to basically the overtly mainstreaming of, rap and hip hop. Particularly with some of the rappers. Snoop Dogg. See, Snoop Dogg is one of those rappers and everything that, despite, his early days in rapping and everything, Snoop always had this charisma about him. He's very, pretty much easily able to, go into any place and be the life of the party, but also be someone cool to talk with. Heck, my most recent late aunt and everything, her husband actually kind of reminds me of Snoop Dogg in that sense. Everyone likes Snoop Dogg, both normally, personally. And, Snoop Dogg has that charisma to be a movie star. And this was actually pretty much a good idea when the director, Eric Dickinson, decided to do another horror movie in 2001 called Bones. Now, Bones itself is pretty much a black African American / black horror movie about basically there's a rundown block in somewhere in the inner city, and this one particular house strikes fear into the heart of a couple of the residents. Well, this house has been purchased by the son of one of the former residents who intends to turn it into a new nightclub, not knowing that there's a history of that house who the original inhabitant was Jimmy Bones. Basically, somewhat like pimp, what you would call a mobster and everything, well, gang member, like somebody from the criminal underground, whom kept the neighborhood in fear, but was also a symbol of pride at the same time. He is brutally murdered by mysterious circumstances, and his essence is in that house. Well, these new young people that actually try to build up that house for a club actually inadvertently resurrect Bones, who decides to take his revenge on those that did him wrong, and as well as the foolish people that resurrected him. I remember seeing this movie, and seeing the plot from it. And as much as I love Snoop Dogg and felt that he deserved his own movie, The Ghost of a Pimp. Okay, I got where they were going. This was pretty much taking the plot of a 70s blaxploitation movie called JD's Revenge and everything, which I will cover in the next installment of Helltober. So I saw the 70s blaxploitation influence right off the bat. Now I am not going to lie. If you want to make a movie about a ghost of a pimp, as stupid as that sounds, the best person to get would be Snoop Dogg, because Snoop Dogg does have that little look like he could be a pimp and everything. But the other thing is, Snoop Dogg is not just has the look of a pimp. He does have the look of your cool uncle and everything. Hence my late aunt's husband and everything. Well, our relationship is it's very, very respectable and everything. It's not the love and affection that I have for my biological uncles, but I greatly admire and respect the guy. But anyway, that's what you would call him. Going off tangent. Let's talk about this movie and everything. Oh boy. All right. For starters, it's great to see progress being made. When you watch a lot of, especially me, as a African American, when I watch a lot of horror movies, I see the white folk make some of the dumbest decisions. I'm over here like, really? You're gonna act that stupid? Really? Well, this movie shows that black folk could be as stupid, because good Lord have mercy. Talk about ignoring obvious signs. You're going into a house and you see fresh blood on the floor. Do you think maybe something happened and everything? Do you think this would be a good idea to open a club here? And not only do you see fresh blood on the floor, you also see fresh bones, blood, and flesh somewhere in that house. And you still want to make this into a club? Oh, God. Oh, and, one thing about us, African Americans and other minorities and everything, well, I'm going to chalk this more up to, those of African, Caribbean, and Hispanic descent. We are pretty sensitive when it comes to the supernatural. When we sense something is supernaturally wrong, we ain't going to screw with it. Oh, but not in this movie. Oh no. You got basically you're sitting in your bed and everything. Yes, they actually moved into this house. Oh God. Anyway, sitting in the bed, listening to beats, you actually see a ghostly image of someone telling you to get out, and you just ignore it. You don't just bounce. Really? And top it off, you see that, this place is abandoned, hardly anyone's been inside, and you find a dog in there, a dog with glowing eyes, and you feed it a hamburger, you're like, you know what? I'm going to bring this dog home with me. What? And to top it off, there's a scene in the movie where basically, one person gets seduced by, a hot girl. Now, I'm a guy, it's easy to get seduced by a girl. But here's the thing. She leads you to an area in a room with no windows at all, and you see everything blowing, wind blowing and everything. Wouldn't you think something is kind of weird? Kind of? Maybe? Maybe not do anything? No. Like most horror movies that have been brought out in the past, ever since the 2000s, none of the characters are likable at all. And this is really weird because we have a great cast in this movie. We not only have, Snoop Dogg, which I'll get into momentarily. We have Clifton Powell, one of the best black character actors out there and everything. And, he wasn't likable at all. We have actually, what you would call him, Catherine Isabel, the most modern scream queen and everything. Now she does not get the scream queen legendary status that Jamie Lee Curtis and Leanna Quigley, who I will mention in Halloween. However, Catherine Isabel is most famously known for the Ginger Snaps movies and, her role in Freddy vs. Jason, And basically, she... Now, I can gladly say that, while she is wasted, this is one of her first roles, so it's easy to give that a pass and everything. But we also have Bianca Dawson. For those that don't know who she is, you should be Buffy fans. If you're fans of Buffy, the Vampire Slayer, the TV series, she played Kendra, the black Vampire Slayer and everything. She's up in this movie. And to top it off, we have freaking Foxy Brown, Pam Grier up in this movie. And all of them are horribly wasted. And the thing is, we have a great director in Eric Dickerson. Eric Dickerson, the guy that did Juice, the guy that did Demon Knight and everything. He knows how to direct. How did he drop the ball with these great actors and not do anything with them? And that's not the only part that makes this movie bad. Basically, the special effects are all over the place. Now, they're both the biggest weakness and one of the biggest strengths in this movie. The blood in this movie is terrible. The blood that you've seen is you can tell it's overtly fake blood. And the CGI that's utilized is horrific. However, when they do some practical effects with the skeletons or a corpse being reanimated, that is done fairly well. Which, and some of the makeup for some of the souls and everything, that's done pretty well too and everything. So the special effects, while range all over the place for being bad to actually being good. Another complaint that I have are the kills in this movie. The kills in this movie are they're just lame. The death sequences is so bad, it's so horrible and everything. And they overuse jump scares and everything, which it's oh boy, nothing's gonna happen. And then when something does happen, you're really underwhelmed. Is there anything good about this movie? Snoop Dogg. Snoop, who basically is the lead antagonist and the lead character in this movie, he ranges from basically, he's a bad guy, but he's a bad guy with morals. Something that, was very much portrayed in the 70s, where the guy is the pride of his neighborhood, but he'll do things in unconventional means, but also has a code of honor and everything. And he's just getting back at people that have done him wrong. Now, I can understand his reasoning for going everyone, because not everyone wanted to kill him. Some people were forced into a situation, but you could also understand his reasoning of dude, you went this far and everything. Why didn't you stop anyone? Why didn't you confess? Why didn't you die with me and everything? You can see his train of thought, but you can also see his other victims' train of thought for who took part in his murder back in the 70s. Despite all this, terrible characters, terrible effects, terrible performances, and a bit of a drag, Bones is whack and everything. Now, with that being said, Bones is whack, but it is also a bit of a guilty pleasure, primarily because I love seeing Snoop Dogg on screen. Agree? Disagree? Drop me a comment below. Give me a like. Follow me on Facebook at Token Dave, or on Twitter at TokenDave80. Subscribe, and ring that bell so you know when a new video loads. But until then, this has been Token Dave, the Doki Toki Block guy who's just trying to get by, and I'll catch you guys later.